I'm Julie Hensley, a faculty member at Eastern Kentucky University's Bluegrass Writers Studio, our low residency MFA program. And I'm happy today to share with you the opening to Landfall, A Ring of Stories. One of the things that interests me most in my fiction is the idea from family systems theory that we pass secrets down generation to generation without ever explicitly exposing them. And I think you'll feel some of that in the opening to this first story. Red Pudding, Helen, 1965. This is not the story of my lover, and neither is it the story of my girls, although both their beginnings are gnarled somewhere in the thick of what I'm going to tell you. This is my husband's story, because I label it so. I've never told my daughters, but I suspect if I could tell it to them, tell it the way it happened and the way it plays out in my mind, they would say it is first my story. More than once, my girls and I have packed a lunch and driven into the holler, have climbed the washed-out logging trail that twists up to Cedar Creek Falls, and have had a picnic there amidst the ruins of an old farmstead. You can see it if you know where to look. The foundation of a cabin and the ruins of a family cemetery, limestone grave markers covered in nettle and moss. We found tangled pumpkin vines, the remnants of an abandoned garden, flowering yellow in early summer. The plants continue to grow without reseeding or direct sunlight, even after 100 years have passed. That is the way it is with this story. I'm allowed my secret. We all move around it carefully, knowingly. It grows larger and greener, like the grass the cows leave untouched around last year's manure. The people I love radiate out from a season of loss. The summer of my 5th wedding anniversary was the driest in 40 years. By July, the corn still hadn't risen past the fence posts. The leaves pulled away from the stalks, shriveled and curled toward the ground. My husband Neil, who planted only about 20 acres of corn, grew it mostly for silage. But each week, I would fill the back of the International with the best ears. This was in the time before the trees bore fruit, when my mother and I ran a roadside vegetable stand on summer weekends. I was strong then, and I would move down the rows with ease, cradling the crates of corn against my hip, sending the contents rumbling into the bed of the truck. When I reached the end of the row, Cora, from the time she could walk, would sit in the shade of the tailgate, sifting dirt through her fingers and sorting the pebbles into meaningful piles. That year, instead of the quiet sigh of summer, the field was a hollow rattle all around me. Forest fires were burning on the backside of Old Nag Mountain, and although the sky thickened gray in the afternoon, it was only ash hanging in the air. Neil worried for the fruit trees. The young orchard, which in 10 years was to be our primary income, might not recover. Twice, he filled 5-gallon buckets from the pump by the barn and drove, with water sloshing over the sides of the truck, through the lines of new trees, pouring carefully around the base of each one.